3 months passed after the incident in the Velen system. The HANA continued its journey through the galaxy, visiting new systems and meeting new species. But everything was different now. Everywhere they went, creatures looked at them with new eyes. Some looked with hope. Some looked with fear. But all of them looked with respect. Captain Minho stood in his quarters, reading a report from Earth. The news from home was overwhelming. Since the confrontation with the Torak, everything had changed. Species that had ignored humanity for years were now sending diplomats. Trade offers poured in from every corner of the galaxy. And most importantly, no one had threatened Earth again. There was a soft knock at his door. "Come in," Minho said. Yuna entered and handed him a tablet. "Captain, you need to see this." Minho took the tablet and looked at the screen. It was a news broadcast from one of the largest galactic networks. The image showed Admiral Grix standing before a massive crowd on the Torak homeworld. But Grix looked different. The pride was gone from his face. His 4 eyes were tired and empty. He stood with his shoulders bent, like a creature that had been broken. "Turn up the sound," Minho said. Yuna pressed a button, and Grix's voice filled the room. "I stand before you today to announce that the Torak Empire will cease all aggressive actions against other species." Grix was saying, "We have learned that there are forces in the galaxy stronger than us. Forces we cannot defeat." The crowd watching him was silent. Minho could see other Torak in the background: soldiers, officers, civilians. They all had the same expression: shock, disbelief. The mighty Torak, brought low by a single human ship. "The humans taught us something that day in the Velen system," Grix continued. "They taught us that true strength is not about size or numbers. It is not about how many ships you have or how many planets you have conquered." He paused, and for a moment, something that might have been shame crossed his face. "True strength is about being prepared, being patient, being willing to stand alone against impossible odds." He lowered his massive head. "The Torak Empire has been many things: conquerors, destroyers, hunters, but we have never been patient. We have never been wise. We saw the humans and laughed at them because they were small. We mocked them because they were new, and they destroyed our pride in seconds." Grix looked directly at the camera. "I do not know what the future holds for my people, but I know this: the galaxy has changed. The humans have changed it. And if we do not learn from what happened, if we do not become better than what we were, then we deserve to fade into history." The broadcast ended, and the screen went dark. Man Ho set the tablet down on his desk and sat back in his chair. He had expected many things to come from that day in the Velen system. He had expected anger from the Torak. He had expected fear from other species. But this complete surrender of pride from one of the most aggressive empires in the galaxy, he had not expected this. "What do you think, Captain?" Yuna asked. Minho was quiet for a long moment. "I think people can change. Even the Torak. Even creatures who have spent centuries believing they are the strongest beings in existence." "Do you believe them?" Yuna asked. "Do you think they will really stop their conquests?" "I do not know," Minho admitted. "But I believe in giving them a chance. That is what we do, is it not? We give people chances." Yuna smiled slightly. "You are too kind for a military captain, sir." "Perhaps," Minho said. "But kindness is also a form of strength." There was another knock at the door. This time, it was Taiho, looking excited. "Captain, you have to come to the bridge. There is something you need to see." Minho and Yuna followed Taiho through the corridors of the HANA. When they reached the bridge, the entire crew was gathered around the main window, staring out at something in space. Man Ho pushed through gently and looked. There, floating in the darkness, were ships. Hundreds of them. Ships of every shape and size, from dozens of different species. Some were small trading vessels. Some were large transports. Some were even warships, their weapons powered down in a sign of peace. "What is this?" Minho whispered. Tae-ho handed him a communications device. "They are asking for you, Captain." "All of them." Minho pressed the button, and a chorus of voices filled the bridge. They spoke in different languages, some translated by the Hana's computers, some clear enough to understand on their own. But they all said the same thing. "Thank you. Thank you for what you did. Thank you for showing us that we do not have to be afraid. Thank you for giving us hope." Minho felt something strange in his chest. It took him a moment to recognize it. It was emotion. Deep, powerful emotion. He had spent so many years training to be strong, to be calm, to never show weakness. But now, standing before this fleet of grateful strangers, he felt tears forming in his eyes. "Captain," Yuna said softly, standing beside him. "They came here to find us. They came here to thank us in person." Minho nodded slowly. He could not speak. "Not yet." One voice rose above the others. It was clearer, more formal. It came from a large ship near the front of the gathering, a vessel from a species called the Orn, one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. "Captain Minho of Earth," the voice said. "We have watched humanity for many years. We saw you emerge from your small planet and reach for the stars. We saw you struggle and fail and try again. And we wondered if you would be different from the others. If you would become conquerors like the Torak, or cowards who hide from danger." The voice paused. "Today, we have our answer. Humanity is neither conqueror nor coward. Humanity is something new, something the galaxy has needed for a very long time. You are protectors, guardians. You carry the light of hope in a universe filled with darkness." Minho finally found his voice. "We are just trying to do what is right. And that," the voice replied, "is exactly why we trust you." The fleet began to move, forming a great circle around the Hana. Lights flickered from every ship, signals of respect, signals of friendship, signals of a new beginning. Minho looked at his crew. Yuna, Tae-ho, Somin, Jiho, all the others who had stood beside him in that terrifying moment when 3 Torak warships had surrounded them. They had been so few, so small, so alone, but they had changed everything. "What are your orders, Captain?" Yuna asked. Minho smiled. A real smile this time, full and warm. "Open all communication channels," he said. "Let us introduce ourselves properly. The galaxy has many problems, and we have much work to do." He looked out at the stars, at the fleet of hopeful ships, at the infinite possibilities waiting in the darkness. "Earth is ready," he said, "and we are just getting started." The Hana's lights glowed bright as it flew forward, surrounded by friends, into a future no one could have imagined, and somewhere, across the vast emptiness of space, a message spread from star to star, from planet to planet, from species to species. The humans have arrived, and everything has changed. The countdown echoed through the bridge of the Hana like the beating of a heart. 8 seconds. 7 seconds. 6 seconds. Each number felt like a lifetime. Admiral Grix's face on the main screen had changed. The cool smile was gone. In its place was something strange, a mix of anger and confusion and the smallest hint of doubt. "You are bluffing," Grix said, but his voice was not as strong as before. "What can a tiny ship like yours possibly do against 3 Torak warships? You have no fleet. You have no support. You are alone." 5 seconds, Minho said. He did not raise his voice. He did not need to. Grix slammed his massive fist against the arm of his chair. The sound was loud enough to make his crew jump. Stop this foolishness. He roared. I do not know what game you are playing, human, but it ends now. I'm going to destroy your ship. I am going to 4 seconds, Minho interrupted. On the Hannah's bridge, the crew was frozen in place. They watched their captain with wide eyes. Some of them had served with Minho for years. They had seen him in difficult situations before, but they had never seen him like this. So calm, so certain, as if he already knew how this story would end. Yuna stood at her station with her hand hovering over a single button. Her fingers were steady. Her breathing was slow. She had been trained for moments like this. They all had. Captain, Taiho whispered from his communication station. The other ships watching us? They are moving closer. Everyone wants to see what happens. Minho did not look away from the screen. Let them watch. 3 seconds, he said to Grix. The Admiral's face twisted with rage. His 4 eyes burned with hatred. You think you can scare me? Grix shouted. I have faced armies. I have crushed civilizations. I am not afraid of some pathetic human on a pathetic ship. He turned to someone off-screen and barked orders. Power all weapons to maximum. Target that ship. The moment this fool's countdown ends, blast them into dust. The Torak warships hummed with power. Their weapons glowed brighter, turning from red to white. The energy building inside them was enough to destroy a small moon. On the Hana, alarms began to sound. Warning lights flashed across every station. Captain, Soman said from the weapons station, her voice tight with fear. Their weapons are fully charged. If they fire, we will not survive. I know, Minho said quietly. 2 seconds, he said to the screen. Grix leaned forward, his teeth bared in a terrible smile. Say goodbye, human. You and your crew are about to become nothing but atoms floating in space. Minho looked at him for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was almost gentle. Admiral, I want you to understand something. What happens next is not revenge. It is not cruelty. It is simply a message. Grix frowned. What message? That Earth will never bow. 1 second, Minho said. And then everything changed. It happened faster than anyone could see. One moment, the 3 Torak warships were glowing with power, ready to unleash destruction. The next moment, they were dark. Completely dark. No lights, no engines, no weapons, nothing. It was as if someone had simply turned them off. On the Hannah's bridge, the crew stared at their screens in shock. The readings made no sense. The Torak ships were still there. They could see them through the window, but they were giving off no energy at all. They were floating in space like dead whales in a frozen ocean. What? What happened? Taiho whispered. Yuna checked her instruments, her eyes moving quickly across the data. I cannot explain it. Their ships are completely offline. Power systems, life support, weapons, shields, engines, everything is dead. All 3 ships? Someone asked in disbelief. All 3 ships, Yuna confirmed. At the exact same moment, Minho stood in the center of the bridge, still looking out the window. His face showed no surprise, no fear, no joy. Just calm acceptance of what he had always known would happen. The main screen flickered, and Grix's face appeared again. But this time, the image was weak and shaky, powered by emergency backup systems only. And Grix looked nothing like he had before. His 4 eyes were wide with terror. His gray skin had turned pale. His massive body was shaking. What did you do? He screamed. What did you do? Minho walked slowly toward the screen. He clasped his hands behind his back and looked at the frightened Admiral. I warned you, Minho said simply. 10 seconds. You had 10 seconds to retreat. You chose not to. This is impossible, Grix shouted. Our ships have the strongest shields in the galaxy. Our systems are protected by the best technology we have ever built. Nothing can just turn them off like that. Nothing you know of, Minho said. But the galaxy is full of things you do not know, Admiral. And humans have been very busy learning. Grix's hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold himself up. Behind him, his crew was in chaos. Officers were running in all directions, screaming at each other, trying to understand what had happened. But there was nothing to understand. Their ships were dead. The technology you just experienced, Minho continued, is called the Silent Pulse. Earth developed it in secret over many years. It sends out a wave of energy that travels faster than light and targets all electronic systems within a certain area. It does not destroy. It does not kill. It simply switches everything off. He tilted his head slightly. Your ships are not damaged, Admiral. Your crews are still alive. But you are powerless. Your weapons will not fire. Your engines will not start. Your shields will not protect you. You are, for lack of a better word, helpless. Grix stared at him with those 4 terrified eyes. All the pride, all the cruelty, all the superiority. It was gone, replaced by the cold, horrible realization that he had made a terrible mistake. What? What are you going to do to us? Grix whispered. Nho did not answer immediately. He turned to look at his crew. They were all watching him, Yuna, Taiho, Somin, Jiho, and all the others. They had been so afraid just moments ago. Now they stood tall, their eyes shining with something new. Pride, hope. Minho turned back to the screen. I am going to do something you have never done, Admiral. I am going to show mercy. Grix blinked in confusion. Mercy? Your ships will recover in approximately 6 hours. The Silent Pulse is not permanent. When your systems come back online, you and your fleet will leave this system and return to Torak space. You will tell your leaders what happened here. You will tell them that Earth is not weak. You will tell them that we do not seek war. But we are prepared for it. He leaned closer to the screen. And you will tell them this. If any Torak ship ever threatens Earth or any human vessel again, the next pulse will not be so gentle. We have other weapons. Worse weapons. And we will use them if we must. The screen flickered and died as the backup power on Grix's ship finally gave out. Minho stood alone in the center of the bridge, surrounded by silence. Then, slowly, Yuna began to clap. One clap at first. Then another. Then Taiho joined in. Then Somin. Then Jiho. Then everyone. The bridge of Dahana filled with the sound of applause and cheers. And across the galaxy. In ships of every shape and size, creatures of every species watched in amazement that the humans had won. And everything had changed. The minutes passed slowly on the Hana. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines and the gentle beeping of instruments. Everyone was waiting. Everyone was watching. Yuna moved between the control panels, checking readings and numbers. Her face was calm, but Minho could see the tension in her shoulders. She was worried. They all were. Captain, said a young man named Taiho from his station near the back of the bridge. He was the communications officer, barely 25 years old, with nervous eyes and quick hands. I am picking up something strange. Minho turned to look at him. What is it? Broadcast, sir. Many of them. Coming from all directions. Taiho pressed a few buttons and shook his head in confusion. It seems like other species are watching us. They are broadcasting our situation across the galaxy. Yuna walked over to Taiho's station and looked at his screen. Her eyes widened slightly. He is right, Captain. I count at least 30 different species receiving live images of what is happening here. New ships, trading vessels, even some military scouts from other empires. They are all watching. Minho stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the 3 Torak warships still surrounded them. Their weapons glowed with a soft red light, ready to fire at any moment. But now Minho noticed other things too. Far in the distance, he could see tiny dots of light. Other ships, watching from a safe distance. They want to see what happens, Minho said quietly. They want to see if Earth is strong or weak. Or they want to see us die, Yuna said, her voice flat. Minho did not respond. She was probably right. The main screen flickered again, and Admiral Grix's face appeared once more. He looked even more pleased than before. His 4 eyes gleamed with cruel joy. "Human Captain," Grix said, "I hope you are enjoying your last moments. I have decided to make this interesting. You see, many eyes are watching us today. Many species want to know what happens when the mighty Torak meet the weak humans." He spread his thick arms wide. "So I will give them a show. I will not simply destroy you. No, that would be too fast. Instead, I will show everyone just how pathetic your species truly is." Minho said nothing. He simply watched and listened. Grix leaned forward. "Tell me, human, do you know how many ships we have destroyed? Do you know how many species have begged for mercy at our feet?" "I do not," Minho said. "Thousands," Grix said, his voice filled with pride. "Thousands of ships. Hundreds of species. Some of them were ancient civilizations with weapons you cannot even imagine. And they all fell. Every single one." He pointed at the screen. "And you? You come here in a ship that my children could break with their bare hands. You have no fleet behind you. No weapons that can hurt us. You are alone. And you are nothing." On the Hannah's bridge, the crew members shifted uncomfortably. Some of them looked down at their feet. Others gripped their chairs tightly. The fear was growing, but Minho remained still. His face showed nothing. "Are you finished?" he asked. Grix blinked all 4 of his eyes. For a moment, he seemed confused by the human's calm voice. "What did you say?" Grix demanded. "I asked if you were finished," Minho repeated. "You have said many words, Admiral. But words do not win battles." Grix's face twisted with anger. "You dare speak to me like that? Do you not understand what is about to happen to you?" "I understand perfectly," Minho said. "You plan to destroy us. You plan to show the galaxy how powerful you are. But I wonder, Admiral, have you ever considered that power is not always about size?" Grix stared at him for a long moment. Then he burst into laughter again, louder than before. "Size? You speak of size?" He turned to his crew. "Did you hear that? The tiny human thinks size does not matter." The Torak crew laughed with their admiral. The sound filled Dahana's bridge like poison. Yuna stepped closer to Minho and spoke quietly. "Captain, I do not like this. They are playing with us." "I know," Minho said. "Let them play. But sir, trust me, Yuna." She looked into his eyes and saw something there. Something hard and certain. She nodded and stepped back. On the screen, Grix finally stopped laughing. He wiped one of his eyes with a thick finger and sighed. "You are amusing, human. I will give you that. But now the games are over." His voice became cold. "I am going to send soldiers to your ship. They will take you and your crew as prisoners. You will be paraded through our cities as examples of human weakness. And then, when everyone has seen how pathetic you are, you will be executed." He leaned forward, his 4 eyes burning with hatred. "And after that, we will come for your planet. We will come for Earth, and we will burn it to nothing." The bridge of the Hana was completely silent. Even the machines seemed to hold their breath. Taio's hands were shaking over his controls. A young woman named Soman, the weapons officer, had tears forming in her eyes but refused to let them fall. The engineer, a quiet man named Jiho, gripped the edge of his station so hard his knuckles turned white. But Minho did not move. He did not shake. He did not cry. He simply looked at Admiral Grix and spoke in a voice that was calm and clear. "Admiral, I am going to say something now, and I want you to listen very carefully." Grix raised one eyebrow. "Oh, more words from the doomed human?" "Earth sent me here for a reason," Minho continued. "We knew what the Torak were. We knew what you have done to other species. We knew you would try to destroy us, and yet you came anyway?" Grix laughed. "Ben, you are even more stupid than I thought." "No," Minho said. "We came because we are not afraid." The laughter on Grix's ship slowly died down. Something in Minho's voice had changed. It was harder now, sharper. "We are not afraid," Minho repeated, "because we are prepared. Earth has been watching the galaxy for a long time, Admiral. We have seen how species like yours treat others. We have seen the cruelty, the destruction, the death." He took one step forward. "And we decided, long ago, that if anyone ever threatened our home, we would be ready. We would have something that no one expected. Something that would make even the mightiest empires think twice." Grix's smile faded. For the first time, a small hint of uncertainty crossed his face. "What are you talking about, human?" Minho did not answer the question. Instead, he turned to Yuna. "Begin the countdown." Yuna nodded and walked to her station. She pressed a series of buttons, and a soft alarm began to sound throughout the ship. On the screen, Grix leaned forward. "What is this? What countdown? What are you doing?" Minho turned back to face him. "You have 10 seconds, Admiral. 10 seconds to power down your weapons and retreat from the system." Grix stared at him in disbelief. Then his face twisted with rage. 10 seconds? You dare give me an ultimatum? 9 seconds, Minho said calmly, and the galaxy watched and waited and held its breath. The stars looked different in the Velen system. They were colder somehow, more distant, as if the universe itself knew that dangerous things lived in this part of space. Captain Minho stood at the front of his ship and watched through the large window. His hands were folded behind his back. His face showed nothing. The ship was called the Hana. It was small, very small. It had only 40 crew members, and it measured just 200 meters from front to back. In Earth terms, it was nothing special. Just a scout vessel sent to explore new parts of the galaxy. But Minho knew better. He knew what the Hana could do. "Captain, we are entering the Velen system now," said a voice from behind him. Minho turned his head slightly. His second-in-command, Yuna, stood near the control panels. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes and short black hair. She never smiled much, but Minho trusted her more than anyone else on the ship. "Good," Minho said. "Keep our speed steady. No sudden moves." Yuna nodded and gave orders to the crew. The Hana moved forward slowly, like a small fish swimming into a very big ocean. The Velen system was known across the galaxy for one thing. It belonged to the Torak Empire. The Torak were one of the most powerful species in the known universe. They had conquered hundreds of planets. They had destroyed entire civilizations. Their warships were massive, covered in weapons and feared by everyone. Earth had only recently joined the galactic community. Humans were new. They were unknown. And most importantly, they were seen as weak. The other species looked at Earth and saw a small, blue planet with soft creatures who had only just learned how to travel between stars. Minho knew what they thought. He had heard the jokes. He had seen the looks of pity and amusement. But he did not care. He had a mission, and he would complete it. "Captain," Yuna said suddenly, her voice a little sharper than before, "I am detecting 3 large objects coming toward us. They are moving fast. Minho turned to face the window again. He could see them now. 3 shapes in the distance, growing larger with every second. They were Torak warships. Each one was at least 10 times bigger than the Hana. They looked like floating mountains made of metal and fire. How long until they reach us? Minho asked. 2 minutes, Yuna replied. Minho nodded slowly. He had expected this. The Torak did not like visitors. They especially did not like visitors from new species. He walked to his chair in the center of the bridge and sat down. All crew, stay calm, he said through the ship's communication system. We have guests coming. Let me do the talking. The bridge was silent. The crew members looked at each other with worried eyes, but no one spoke. They trusted their captain. The 3 Torak warships stopped in front of the Hana. They formed a triangle, surrounding the small Earth vessel on all sides. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the main screen on the Hana's bridge flickered, and a face appeared. It was Admiral Grix of the Torak Empire. He was a large creature with thick gray skin and 4 eyes. His mouth was wide and full of sharp teeth. When he spoke, his voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. What is this? Grix said, leaning forward to look at the screen. A tiny ship? From where? What species dares to enter Torak space? Minho stood up from his chair and faced the screen. He kept his voice calm and steady. I am Captain Minho of the Earth vessel Hana. We come in peace. We are here to explore and to open communication with other species. For a moment, Grix said nothing. Then he started to laugh. It was a horrible sound, like thunder mixed with breaking glass. His crew behind him joined in, their voices filling the Hana's bridge through the speakers. Earth? Grix said between laughs. The little blue planet? The one with the soft creatures who cannot even breathe in space without special suits? That is correct, Minho said. His expression did not change. Grix leaned back in his chair and shook his massive head. You are either very brave or very stupid human. Do you know where you are? This is Torak space. We have destroyed civilizations that were 1,000 times more powerful than yours. We have burned planets to ash, and you come here in that. That tiny thing? He pointed one of his thick fingers at the screen, and his crew laughed again. Yuna stepped closer to Minho. She spoke quietly so only he could hear. Captain, their weapons are charging. All 3 ships. Minho gave a small nod, but did not look away from the screen. Admiral Grix, he said, we have no desire for conflict. We only wish to pass through this system and continue our exploration. Grix stopped laughing. His 4 eyes narrowed, and his smile became something colder, something cruel. Pass through? He said. No, I do not think so. You see, human, I have a collection. Ships from every species we have conquered. I think your little vessel will make a nice addition. My children will play with it. The crew on Grix's ship laughed once more. Minho took a slow breath. He had hoped things would not go this way. He had hoped the Torak would be reasonable. But hope was not a plan, and Minho always had a plan. I understand, Minho said quietly, but I must warn you, Admiral. Earth may be new to the galaxy. We may be small. Our ships may look weak. But we are not what we appear to be. Grix grinned, showing all his teeth. Is that a threat, little human? No, Minho said. It is a fact. Grix waved one of his massive hands. Enough talking. Prepare to be boarded. If you resist, we will destroy you. It makes no difference to me. The screen went dark. While Yuna looked at Minho. For the first time, there was something like worry in her eyes. Captain, what do we do? Minho looked around at his crew. They were scared. He could see it in their faces. But they were also ready. They trusted him. We wait, Minho said. And when they make their move, we make ours. He sat back down in his chair and folded his hands. The Hana floated in space, surrounded by 3 massive warships. It looked like a small bird trapped by wolves. But Minho knew something that Grix did not. Sometimes, the smallest creatures had the sharpest teeth. The cheering on the Hana eventually died down, but the feeling in the air remained. It was a feeling of wonder, of relief, of something that felt almost like magic. The crew members looked at each other with bright eyes and small smiles. They had been so close to death, and now they were still alive. Yuna walked over to Minho. She stood beside him and looked out the window at the 3 dark Torak warships floating in space. "I never doubted you, Captain," she said quietly. "But I have to admit, my heart was beating very fast during that countdown." Minho smiled slightly. It was a rare sight. "Mine too." Yuna raised an eyebrow. "Really?" "Really," Minho said. The silent pulse had never been used in actual combat before. We tested it many times on Earth, but this was the first real test. I was not completely sure it would work. Yuna stared at him. "You were not sure? And you still did it?" "I believed it would work," Minho said. "Sometimes that has to be enough." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the dead ships drift slowly in the darkness. "What happened now?" Yuna asked Dot before Minho could answer. Taiho called out from his station. "Captain, the broadcasts. They are going crazy." Every species that was watching is now sending messages. Hundreds of them. Thousands, maybe. Minho turned and walked over to Taiho's station. The young officer's screen was filled with scrolling text and flashing alerts. "What are they saying?" Minho asked Te, who shook his head in amazement. "Everything, sir. Some are asking questions. Some are demanding to know what weapon we used. Some are—" He paused and looked up at Minho with wide eyes. "Some are asking if Earth will protect them." Yuna came to stand beside them. "Protect them? From what?" "From the Torak," Taiho said. "From other aggressive species. From anyone who might threaten them." He scrolled through more messages. "Captain, there are species out there who have lived in fear for centuries. They have been conquered, enslaved, hunted, and now they are reaching out to us." Minho read some of the messages himself. They came from places with names he did not recognize. Species he had never heard of. But the words were all the same. "Help us. Save us. We have been waiting for someone strong enough to stand up to the darkness." The weight of those words settled on Minho's shoulders like a heavy coat. He had not expected this. He had come here thinking only of Earth's safety. But now he realized that what had happened here meant much more than that. "Captain," Jiho said from the engineering station, "I am reading something strange from the Torak ships." Minho looked over. "What is it?" "Life signs, sir. They are still stable. The crews are alive, just as you said they would be. But—" Jiho frowned at his screen. "They are not moving. At all. What do you mean?" "I mean they are just sitting there, in the dark, not doing anything." Jiho looked up with a troubled expression. "I think they are in shock, Captain. They do not know what to do." Yuna crossed her arms. "They have probably never been powerless before. The Torak have always been the strongest. They have always been the hunters. Now, for the first time, they are the prey." Minho nodded slowly. He understood that feeling. Fear of the unknown. The terror of suddenly being weak in a universe that did not forgive weakness. "Keep monitoring them," Minho said to Jiho. "Let me know if anything changes." He walked back to the center of the bridge and looked at the main screen. It was dark now, showing nothing but the emptiness of space and the shadows of the dead warships. "Taiho," Minho said, "open a channel. Broadcast to all ships in the area." "I want to send a message." "Yes, sir." Taiho worked at his controls for a moment. Channel open, Captain. Everyone can hear you now. Minho stood straight and clasped his hands behind his back. He thought about what to say. He knew that his words would be heard by countless species across the galaxy. This moment would be remembered for a long time. Perhaps forever. This is Captain Minho of the Earth vessel Hana, he began. Today, you witnessed something that many believed impossible. You saw 3 Torak warships, among the most powerful in the galaxy, rendered completely helpless by a single human ship. He paused, letting the words sink in. I want to be clear about something. Earth did not seek this conflict. We came to the Velen system in peace, hoping to explore and to learn. We did not fire the first shot. We did not threaten anyone. We simply defended ourselves when we were threatened. Outside the window, the dark Torak ships floated in silence. Inside them, Minho knew. Thousands of Torak soldiers sat in the darkness, listening to his words. Earth is not a warrior species, Minho continued. We do not dream of conquest or empire. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We only want to live in peace and to explore the wonders of the universe. His voice grew harder. But we have learned, through our history, that peace must be protected. That weakness invites cruelty. That those who cannot defend themselves will always be victims. And so we prepared. We built weapons that no one expected. We trained crews that fear nothing. We became strong, not because we wanted power, but because we wanted freedom. He looked directly at where he knew the cameras were transmitting his image. To the Torak Empire, and to any other species that might think of threatening Earth or its people. I say this, we do not want war. We do not want enemies. But if you force us to fight, we will fight. And we will win. He softened his voice slightly. And to the species who have reached out to us today, who have asked for help and protection, I say this. Earth hears you. We cannot promise to solve all your problems or to fight all your battles. But we can promise that you are not alone anymore. The galaxy has changed today, and it will never go back to the way it was. He nodded once. This is Captain Minho. End transmission. Tayo closed the channel, and the bridge fell silent once more. For a long moment, no one spoke. The crew members sat at their stations, processing what had just happened. They had come here as explorers on a small ship. Now they were something else entirely. They were messengers, symbols, proof that the galaxy could change. Yuna walked up to Minho. Her eyes were softer than usual. That was a good speech, Captain. Minho exhaled slowly. I hope so. I have never been good with words. You did fine. She looked out at the floating Torak ships. What do we do now? Do we wait for them to wake up? Minho shook his head. No, we continue our mission. We explore. We meet new species. We show them who we really are. He turned to face his crew. Set a course for the next system. Let the Torak wake up alone. Let them think about what happened here. And let the galaxy see that Earth does not hide in the shadows. The crew responded with energy. Hands flew across controls. The Hana's engines hummed to life, and as the small Earth ship flew past the 3 helpless warships, disappearing into the infinite darkness of space, the galaxy watched, and the galaxy remembered.